Million Cups. I'm going to start the recording. We'll go live on Facebook. Oh, actually, Matt, you need to do that. He's the host. Good morning. Welcome. Matt, can you start the Facebook live feed? The first one on Zoom is the only one who can do it. Welcome, you guys. Oh, there's our presenter, just in the nick of time. AJ, can you hear me?
Yes, how are you?
Good. We were worried you weren't going to show up.
Oh, no, we're here.
All righty. Let me make you a co-host. Actually, Matt, you have to make Matt a co-host too, please. Or Adrian a co-host.
Yes, thank you. How's everybody feeling today?
We're feeling good. Welcome to Albuquerque.
Yeah, thank you.
Glad to be here.
It's good to be back home. I actually grew up in the Juarez, El Paso area, and my grandma lived in Las Cruces, so I was always in New Mexico.
Very nice.
And I will save my answer for your chili question to the end.
Good. You know about the chili question. That's awesome.
I heard about that, so we'll I'll keep you in suspense.
Tell you what, I'm going to go ahead and kick us off. You guys online can tell me if you can see my screen.
We can see it.
Good. Welcome to 1 Million Cups Albuquerque. We're helping to caffeinate entrepreneurs nationwide every single Wednesday. Our mission, the mission of 1 Million Cups, is to lower the barrier of access to education, resources, and connection for all new and aspiring entrepreneurs throughout the United States. This is really exciting because I see a lot of new faces today, and we're going to have time to introduce each other. So thank you for coming. Our national and local mission, we work towards this mission through creating a consistent program for each 1 Million Cup presenter nationwide, while also highlighting the uniqueness and value proposition for our local startup community. We are the only member of 1 Million Cups in the state of New Mexico. That's why we're the best and the greatest. But the cool thing is, and something that happened during COVID, is we had to go hybrid via Zoom like everybody else did. And we started getting presenters not only across the state of New Mexico, but across the nation, like our presenter this morning. So we've continued that effort to find entrepreneurs from all over. Our key pillars, and some people don't understand this, so I want to explain how 1 Million Cups is different. We are not a networking group. This is not BNI. This is not Trusted Advisor Network. We're not here to hand out cards and get your next gig. We're here to learn each other's stories. We're here to be a supportive community. We want to be radically and intentionally inclusive. You can still hand out business cards and network, but we're more of a community, and we want to help business owners overcome their challenges. And that's what we're here to do and help with. So our values and practices, we are safe and supportive, inclusive and diverse, and respectful and considerate of each other. We need presenters. So since there's so many new people in the audience, raise your hand if you're new. I see 6 new applications coming my way. You're gonna go to 1mc82.com and there'll be an apply to present button. This application was created by Kaufman. It can look a little daunting, but it's really not. All you gotta do is fill it out. It'll go into our queue. Our organizing team, one of us will reach out to you. We'll help you with your presentation. We'll coach you and we'll get you ready for your 6-minute entrepreneurial story. Here's our organizing team. We have Paul Sauter, myself. Eric Renswhitmore is not here this morning, but he's probably listening online. I wouldn't doubt it. We've got Matt Gretton, and we're also looking for a couple of new volunteers. And I would really love to be diverse about this. Let's have some women, some people of color, some people in other industries. I think that would help make us more inclusive if we could get some more diversity. Well, there you go.
I have other talents. What are you guys looking to add on to in terms of like assets?
So the coaches help us find presenters. Once we get presenters in the queue, we help coach them, and there's some guidelines that Kaufman offers. There's a lot of back-end work to, look at when the applications come in to make sure they review them. We give thumbs up, thumbs down. We reach out to the entrepreneurs as a team to see if they're a good fit. because we want to make sure they're here to tell a story. And they also have to have a product or service in market. This isn't ideation stage companies. No crowdfunding stage companies. We need you to have sold something to someone other than your mother. And then we meet here in the mornings on Wednesday. We move chairs, we make coffee, we clean up after everyone when the session's over, and we need help with that as well. So there's lots of different areas that you could fill in. We also do a lot of social media and marketing. You having trouble, Matt?
Yeah, the Facebook blog.
Okay, if you'll make me the host, I can probably fix that. Did that answer your question? Okay, here's our sponsors, Bath High BBQ, where some of you are sitting in person today, and we actually have co-working spaces all over New Mexico. Loza and Loza has been our coffee sponsor. We've got a couple new coffee sponsors, I think, coming our way soon. More Than Organized, Miriam brings our cream. Thank you so much, Miriam. Jason Collin Photography, he's our official photography. He's online today, so he'll be taking Zoom pictures. Noventum Custom Software, Brian's in the audience. Brian, raise your hand. He brings your donuts, so thank him for you. Or muffins today, sometimes home baked goods. We thank him for that. And that's it. So I'm going to stop sharing. We're going to get ready for AJ De Leon with Innovare. AJ, you can go ahead and unmute yourself.
Okay.
And go ahead and share your screen and bring up your presentation.
Okay. Isaac, do you want to help me with that?
Yeah, I have a
Yeah.
host disabled participant screen sharing. Is there any way that I could gain access to it?
Sure.
Thank you.
Right.
So Iser and I are teammates. He's actually the new generation of Innovare's staff. So I'm the first founder and CEO. Good morning, everyone. How are you? I'm AJ De Leon, originally from El Paso, and good to be back in the region and see all of you. And we are Innovare, and we make a data and strategic planning app for education leaders. And Iser here is as I was mentioning, my teammate, and he helps us expand our reach into states that we are currently not in, which is why we're presenting here with you this morning. So Iser, you can advance to the next slide if you like, and introduce yourself.
Yeah, I'm Iser Martinez. I'm an account strategist with Innovare Social Innovation Partners. I started in February after finishing my MSc-D at the Graduate School of Education at the University of Pennsylvania, specifically within education entrepreneurship, how we can create sustainable initiatives and businesses within the education ecosystem. I'm so glad to have our CEO and co-founder AJ De Leon with us today, who will be helping to facilitate a lot of the questions towards the end, as I know there might be many. What we come to 1 Million Cups to do is really to share what we do. We're passionate about it. We truly are passionate about supporting educational leaders. And what we would ask is that you provide any insights on the ecosystem, New Mexico, Albuquerque, the #1 1 Million Cups, right? And really share any connections that you have available. We really want to share what we do. We're passionate about it. And then also, while I'm going through this presentation, please provide any insights. Where can we improve our messaging? How can we make continuous improvement a thing within our organization that we continuously care about? And learning from you all is what we pride ourselves on. So thank you. What we found ourselves when we developed Inno in 2017, we found ourselves hearing very similar statements. Really our why is because what we heard is that the data I need is in different places. What we found with a lot of our organizations is that their data is siloed. There's so many different applications. If you look at your own phone, you probably have so many different logins already. And what we wanted to do is really centralize that data so it's working with one another. Secondly, the dashboards I have aren't useful. They're not aligned to the strategic and organizational goals. So what we do at Inno, we come in and we listen. We want to understand our school leaders, our principals, our executive directors, our superintendents. What are their plans, their initiatives, and how can we support them in creating and using their data more effectively? And thirdly, what we realized is that I'm not able to track my team's work and impact. We saw that there was this disalignment with having our data, but also making sure that our strategic plans and our goals are alongside. And so what we do at Innovare, that brings us to our next point of really just coming in to listen to our partners so that we can centralize and identify what data sources do they have available to them. And secondly, come in and how do we really organize and strategize or operationalize our goals? So making sure that our goals are really aligning to what the data is sharing with us, and also reflecting on, are we having the intended impact that we would like to have? How are we measuring our impact? And how are we making sure that our goals and our initiatives have the intended outcome by looking at the data within our application? And so before I get into our business model and more on the business side, I got to tell you a little bit more about our story, right? We started in 2017 because we just saw that there was this need for education leaders to have the same tools that a lot of our, for-profit companies and leaders have within their organizations. We wanted them to be able to access their data within one application, to see their goals within one application. And AJ, Nick, and Fernando, who's AJ's brother, came together to really develop Inno. In 2018, we saw that we were profitable. We were seeing that there was this need and this value that we were providing. And in 2017, what we realized just from listening to our partners is that we really needed to centralize all their data systems and operationalize a goal in one application. It was too much to be bringing up a Google slide here or a presentation here, or just multiple different systems within a team presentation. So we really wanted to make sure that we had one location where all that could live. And in 2020, the pandemic hit. It became a challenge where we were figuring out, how can we provide the most support? The one thing that was very positive is that we continue to hear from our leaders that we want to know what other educational leaders are doing. We want to know what other schools are doing to improve student outcomes. And that's where we decided to provide recommendations and best practices within our Inno application, and also just create a community of change makers where we can bring in these knowledgeable principals and leaders within their organizations to share knowledge and share information so that we can improve student outcomes at the end of the day. And in 2021, I'm proud to say, and AJ did much of this work, is really closing our first round of funding. But the only way that we're able to do that is truly within our team. Our team is powered by a diverse group of educators, tech, and business experts. The thing that you'll hear across the board from all of us is that we care about improving student outcomes. Specifically, to tell you a little bit about myself, I grew up going to eight different schools before the 6th grade. If you name a curriculum, I had probably tried it. And it wasn't until the 6th grade when I was identified as having dyslexia. It didn't mean that I read backwards or flipped words upside down. It just meant that I learned differently. And so that I needed different interventions. And what I love about Innovare and why I'm here specifically is that we provide leaders with the data to really drive in and identify those students who are here on time, 98 to 100% of the time, but we see that they might be off track. So now as a leader, as a teacher, as anyone within that school or that organization can drill down and identify who those students are, what classes have they taken, and how can we come in and really provide our support. Who we serve is K through 12 schools and nonprofit organizations. We are in 10 states, fastly growing, looking to grow in Albuquerque, of course. And we're so glad to be here with you all. Who we serve are principals, superintendents, executive directors of charter schools, as well as educational nonprofit leaders. And really, the market size is big. There's 132,000 schools that we would love to talk to every single one of them, share our story, share what we do in our work. And what we have been able to accomplish is really in 2018 and 2019, we got about 420K annual revenue over time, 800K in 2019 and 20, 1 million in 2020 and 21, and we are projected to reach our $3 million mark within the 2021 and 2022 year. And really what I would like to share a little bit more is the sales comparison. In Q1, within our fiscal year of 2021, we reached about $120,000. And then in fiscal year 2022, in Q1, we're at $359,000. And I really commend our team because I believe this is truly due to our passion and also our highly sticky recurring revenue model, which is around 48 days for our sales cycle. Our average annual subscription rate is about $20,000, and our renewal rate is 97%. Really a testament to what we do for our customers and the value that we intend to have. And the way that our subscription model really works is between 3 different packages: our silver, our gold, and our platinum. And the way that we develop our amount for our packaging is really based on the number of users who are using Inno, the number of data sources that we're extracting data from, and also the number of data pages and visualizations that we create. What I'd like to share is a humbling quote that we got from Dr. Manoni, who's a distinguished Chicago public school principal. And what I'd like to really share is that everyone within our team really cares about outcomes. We care about improving student outcomes. And we care about saving our leaders time so that they can really do the work to support the communities that they serve. And that's what we strive to do every single day. I'm so happy that we had the time and the opportunity to be here with all of you at 1 Million Cups. Again, we'd love to gain any insights, connect with you. Please connect with us online, offline, through email. Email me right now, connect with me on LinkedIn. But I'd love to learn from you all and any organizations or things that we should be tapping into at Innovare, just to share more about what we do. So thank you for your time, and I'll open it up to questions.
Thank you. You may come up to the hot seat so they can hear you. And introduce yourself to him in the audience.
Hey guys, I'm here from Carl. We're a data company, marketplace. We're just interested on how they use the data with K-12 students.
So, Iser, I got a question.
Great.
For your platforms, if I understand, you guys are essentially running consulting for K through 12. You come in with a dashboard platform. You charge people depending on the APIs that they're currently using, tied into just one model, and then drive insights off of that.
So I really appreciate the question. What I'd first say is we don't see ourselves as consultants. Instead, we see ourselves as thought partners. We come in with our organizational leaders and really help them to identify what are their goals, what are their initiatives, and what data sources they have available. And yes, we do extract that using an API or CSV connection. And then we really design it with them to make sure that it's aligning to their strategic goals. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it kind of does. And so you're running analytics on the children, what's going on in the classroom. How do you define the outcomes? Because you spoke a lot about outcomes, but outcomes can be positive, negative, or neutral. So I'm trying to understand how you guys view that.
Yeah. Those outcomes, or let's say we're in the public sector or working with an executive director at a charter school, those outcomes can be developed by the district, right? And some of those outcomes are developed within that specific school and that principal with that principal. And so we do walk through what are the intended outcomes that we hope to have, and then how do we create cycles of learning. So instead, a lot of times in education, we plan a plan, but what we believe at Innovare is a PDSA model. So we plan, we do, then we study on those actions, and then we plan, do, study, and then act on them. And so though we have metrics, what we really hope to do is evaluate those metrics that are designed by that principal, that educational leader that we're partnering with.
And
Okay.
I'll jump in and add something to you too. What's your name? Who is asking the question?
Alexander?
Alexander. So most schools have a strategic plan that they're required to turn in every year, and in every district, there's usually like KPIs that the school leader is being held responsible for. So like improving attendance or literacy outcomes or college readiness outcomes, etc. So those are the outcomes that we're talking about. So our app basically allows the leader to document what they're going to do to reach those goals in a very quantifiable way. And then they have the analytics, as you mentioned, right there in the same spot. So if they're trying to improve attendance, they can see if the efforts of their team in an Asana-like fashion, like project management fashion, if those things that they're doing, right, are having an impact on those data points that they care about. And we work with every client to make sure that they are not aware of what they need to plan towards. Like we make sure that they actually understand what the KPIs are that they should be trying to move so they can move the needle for the organization. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. So it's not a centralization of data. You guys are really just putting a window on what's available and putting it in one place, correct?
No, we actually do centralize it because in some cases the data is in disparate places. So like, for example, during the pandemic, we actually had a lot of teachers who were taking attendance on Google spreadsheets or other systems. So we go in and either like you mentioned earlier through an API, there's a lot of systems like their student information system, their standardized test score system, their financial system that tend to have an API, so like an automatic door. But other things are more random, and we have to actually grab those so that, you know, a principal can actually see everything in one place. So if they're trying to analyze which kids are behind in attendance, they can actually filter. Instead of having 3 screens open, they can have it all in one place, and we do the work of putting it together and then designing the custom dashboard that triangulates all those insights.
Makes total sense. And so your ask, and just so I understand correctly, are you guys looking for beta testers in this area within different aspects of K through 12? Like, what is it beyond the networking aspect and then showing them the tool you have? What are you guys looking to achieve here in Albuquerque?
We're actually looking to get clients. So we are post revenue, we're a profitable company, and we're VC backed. So we actually are, we don't have any school clients or charter school clients or district level clients in New Mexico, and we will like to. So if any of you know principals, or if you know people in the education space that you think we need to know, let us know. You know, our clients really like our app. We usually have 30-minute sales calls, and they last an average of 14 minutes. They get it. They understand what we do right away. And they're like, where were you guys when I was, you know, spending all this time trying to crunch the numbers myself and trying to get it all together so I could show my board what we're doing. So it sells itself, you know, like Iser said, we were very sticky, only 3% churn. And that's why we raised $3 million in our first seed round, just about a month.
Congratulations. And I don't want to bogart this any further. Last question. On the personally identifiable information on the K through 12 students, most of them, you know, under 13 years old, how do you guys manage that in terms of the analytics?
Yeah, we actually, when I forgot to introduce myself properly. So I used to work at the Gates Foundation in the data infrastructure team and the chief strategy office. So PII is definitely something that we value, and we are compliant with COPA and SOPA and all the other, you know, legislations that speak to data privacy and students. So we usually have a data sharing agreement with the district that we work with. And also because of our educational purposes of our app, there are legal exceptions for us to be able to quickly work with a school. However, we always secure a data privacy and sharing agreement with the districts and schools we work with.
And do the students know that you're sharing their information?
We're not sharing the information. The information is being used at the school level only with the principal and their team.
Got it. All right, cool deal. Thank you very much.
Thank you for the question.
Ralph,
Yeah,
you can ask
Yeah.
your question.
Oh,
Hey,
thank
Ralph.
you. Hey,
Hey,
guys. Hey, Jay, I don't know if, and Iser, if you can hear me okay. I'm actually the community school coordinator for Albuquerque Public Schools, and I'm the dean of students at an elementary school, and also the data coach for an elementary school. But I wanted to tell you, what we're doing now is everything has to align to our 90-day plan. I think that was the alignment tool you were talking about.
Yep.
And currently the big things we're hitting are attendance, enrollment, socioeconomic data, and kind of as a side note, rating improvement. What I'm supposed to do is I dig into the data and I kind of harness the community to align to the 90-day plan, like what resources do I need to bring to improve our 90-day plan or to hit our goals? But some of the software systems we're using are currently our Synergy, VersaFit, and Sapper. So my question, I guess I needed to know, I'd like to meet with you guys. Is it an enterprise or a local based software? And then everything with Albuquerque Public Schools is secured network. So would you even if we want to hook up our laptop, we need to hook it. It's a secured private network for printing. It's secured private network for emails. Just how would that integrate? And what could I do to help you guys?
Yeah, well, thank you, Ralph. And, you know, as far as I'll kind of go backwards in your question. So first, in terms of the security, so we're used to, we work with New York, we work with Chicago Public Schools and some of the largest districts. So we definitely will work with your, you know, whoever is managing the security of your network, whether it's a VPN or whatever. And remember our app, and I don't know if it was clear from Iser's presentation, but we actually are a cloud-based app. So we don't download any information. We basically live on top of the systems that are already being used by the district. So when you talk about Synergy or when you talk about any of the other systems that you mentioned, what we will do first is figure out like, do they have an API or do we need to download like CSVs and put them in a safe location within your network and then access it. And like I mentioned, to Alexander's question, we would usually get an email address from your district. So aj@albuquerquepublicschools.edu, and we will be able to have access into that data to manipulate it basically and put it together so that you and your teammates don't have to do that. And then the app actually will now have those insights that you're talking about that are aligned to that 90-day plan. And then it will actually allow you to designate who's doing what in the community, right? So person A is doing this social emotional initiative. Here's what they need to do by when, et cetera. We align with the OKR process at Google. So we basically are like an Asana for education. We're like a Salesforce for education. We are a BI powered, application for education. We really saw that all those other larger companies are not meeting the needs of schools and districts and other organizations because they're very like Frankenstein and they're not adapted to the needs. And then having the data all over the place really complicates things. So that's why we created this app, and I actually used to be a data strategist working in the schools and used to do this work myself. So we basically have bottled it up into the app, and that's what we're doing. And then as far as meeting with us, we would love that. We would love your advice. And that's why we're here to understand like the landscape and to Alexander's point, maybe even the sort of legal landscape, like what do we need to know? What are the regulations, right? In order for us to reduce the friction so that we can work with the clients in that state.
Okay, I'm putting all my contact information in the chart for you, and feel free to just come by the school anytime.
Thank you so much. We will
Thank
love
you.
that. Thank you very much. This is why we're here, to find champions like you and people who are doing the work. And all of you are community members, right? Who I'm sure are all connected to education in some way, whether it's through your children or through, your board memberships or other things. I'm sure there's others in the audience.
Marlene, I didn't mean to skip you. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. So I have a couple of questions. I am kind of a newer teacher, but I'm teaching at the community college. So are you just working with K through 12?
Right now we are, but our organization, our app is organization agnostic. And so we can work with higher ed organizations and are actually in conversations to do so right now.
And so this is really for running schools, not for the educators at the schools to integrate their.
That's right. Yes, it's basically for the principal and the top leaders, but teachers that are leaders in the schools, they do use it because they are, as you know, in charge of like an MTSS strategy or social emotional, or maybe they're the case manager for the special ed students. So leaders within the building who are teachers, they are users of the app, but the app is designed to manage, as you said, the organization.
Yeah, so just so you know, that wasn't really clear in your presentation. It was
Good. Yeah, this is
that
the
it's
feedback
really
we-
meant to kind of oversee it's meant to kind of oversee and manage the school system, and that you're only dealing with K through 12. So just, in your presentation, that would be helpful.
Absolutely,
you.
Marlene.
Great
Thank
comment.
you. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
We'll make that clearer going forward. Yes.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you for that. Being a great teacher for us. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hey guys, Brian Steiner with Noventum Custom Software.
Brian.
Hey, Brian.
So I've done a bunch of school-based health center work for nurses' offices and things like that, and then a Pearson Power School, which is a school management system integration. So I've
Yeah.
done a little bit of stuff like you're describing, and or a lot for the school-based health centers. And the big thing that I noticed is that the people that write the checks are either high-level administrators or grants funders that really don't have anything to do with the people on the ground that are doing the work. I mean, the disconnect is painful sometimes. So
Yes.
how do you guys, what's the difference between your customers and your users? Do you know what I'm talking
Yeah,
about?
of course, we know what you're talking about. Yes. So the person who signs the check, for us, is sometimes the principal, sometimes the district superintendent, sometimes it is a philanthropy or a funder, who has bought our app for like a region of schools. We work with all sorts of customers. In terms of the user actually tends to be mostly the head of school. So a school leader, a principal. And the second most, or an executive director of a charter, they have different titles, but it's basically the person at the top. So the number one person in the organization, whether it's the superintendent, the principal, the executive director, that person is our top user. Sometimes they buy as well, like in the school leaders. Most of them, our pricing, as you saw from one of the slides, it's under $25,000, which is sort of the threshold nationally for what a school leader can buy without district approval necessary. So we have strategically priced ourselves under that threshold so that principals themselves, who are both the user and the customer, can buy us. And that's why we have a 48-day sales cycle, because the person who's going to be using it is the one who can write the check. And we are very intentional about that. You know, we use BANT and a lot of sales qualifying ways to make sure that our authorized user is the one who's going to be also signing the check. And in our district level clients, that's a little bit different because, as you know, they have like a whole structure, and sometimes like the finance person or procurement or somebody else is the one that approves. But again, because our user is the superintendent, that usually moves very fast. And so, you know, we have grown, and recently, you talk about Power School, that's like one of our integrations that we've already built because most of our schools use that one. So it is something that we're continuously building, like more integrations. We have about 120 with different technologies, whether they're reading solutions, math solutions, SISs like Power School and others. And we're actually developing an AI-powered engine that will provide recommendations, as Iser was mentioning, in the future. So now it's not just going to connect the analytics and do the strategy, but it's going to tell leaders what are the best practices to move the needle in certain things, so they don't even have to try to figure it out, you know. So that's where we're going, you know, with it. But you're absolutely right. In education, it can be very tricky with the user versus the buyer, you know, in terms of the customer. But in our case, it sometimes works to our advantage, and to Marlene's quote, that the user is the buyer. So it does accelerate the sales cycle for us in some cases, especially at the school level.
Yeah, thanks.
Hello, I'm Adam. I'm a previous teacher in high school and in middle school, and I do professional organizing now. But one of the reasons that I moved from working with the school to working with individuals or people that are trying to make something happen is because in the school system, I felt like I was constantly fighting a system that was built to work a certain way. You know, the engine was going, and it was going in a direction to make the machine continue to do what it was doing. That, you know, all that big highfalutin talk, right? And I'm wondering how your program can help more personalize things or make it so we're creating innovators as well in the actual classroom. And I know it's a kind of a tangled topic and all that, but I'm curious how you have considered that.
Yeah, that's a great question, Adam. And you know, as you know, personally, right, education is not working, and we all know that it needs to be disrupted because there's a lot of antiquated technology that is being put in front of teachers, even at the teacher level. Even to Marlene's earlier question, there's only about 49% of EdTech apps that are being used in classrooms are actually not being implemented with fidelity. And that's because teachers, you know, and others and students, there seems to be like, you know, a lot of friction at the school level with what things are done, how things are done. And so for us, what we think is sort of our theory of change, Adam, is if we empower the leader, right, to be able to allocate resources better, to be able to not buy a constellation of solutions for reading or math or others, by being able to analyze what's working, what's not working, et cetera, then that allows, you know, for the teachers to have more agency and more autonomy into what they actually work with. And in a lot of our schools, the culture is, like I mentioned, a lot of the teacher leaders, so department heads, people who are in charge of things, who are teachers, educators, like what you used to do, they actually are making decisions and managing up through the app. So they're actually analyzing. In one of our schools in Kansas City, for example, they have this entire like social emotional plan going on right now, and the teachers are the ones informing that and what solutions are being bought and things like that, and they are the ones documenting it in the app, and they use the app daily to document what they're doing and who's doing what. And another school that we have, they're actually using our app to manage their IB program, and so it's creating like standards for curricula. And another one of our schools, they're using it for personalized learning. We have a school in DC that is actually measuring Chinese immersion learning. So they're actually, the teachers are doing all that work. And it's, the principal is the one who buys the app and leads the meetings and all that. But the teacher leaders, as Iser mentioned, they're the ones who are the actors, right, of change within that school. And we believe at Innovare, that Innovare, by the way, means change, reform, and innovation, like you see here in this slide. We believe that we need to disrupt the current status quo of schools in which, like Alex was saying and others, there seems to be a lack of alignment between what's happening at the classroom level, at the leadership level, and even superintendent level. We want to create that alignment by having a tool that actually documents what everybody's doing, so that there's clear understanding of how we're reaching the goals and how the teachers are individual contributors to how the school is doing. Does that make sense? Thank
Hi,
you,
guys.
Adam.
My name is Michael. I'm with Matterform. I do a lot of work with healthcare data, so I'm really interested in.
Hi, Michael.
Great presentation, by the way. Really, really well done. Congratulations on your growth and congratulations on that round of investment. That must be really exciting for you guys. As I said, I do work with data, specifically with healthcare data, and just getting your hands on the data, just finding the data and importing it and getting it in one place. That's one challenge, of course. But I've always found that the real, even harder than that is figuring out what to do with it and figuring out how to get insights out of it and what are the answers that my customer needs. What are the questions they have that can be answered with data? So it sounds like your customers have some requirements from their funding programs. Some of their funding programs come to them with specific questions that they have to answer. So that's great. That gives you a leg up on that. And I love it when your customers tell you what to build, right? But I'm curious about what kinds of opportunities you're seeing for innovation beyond what they're already asking for. What can you do? Where can you really live up to your name and bring in some real data and visualization innovation? What are questions that you're bringing to your customers?
Yes.
Where you might be able to help them? And then if that's an area of opportunity for you, I'm really curious about how you're building a team to scale that skill set. There's a real art to that. It's one thing to know how to hire a data engineer who can do ETL scripts and stuff like that. How do you hire and train and build a culture that's innovating with those kinds of questions, looking for those kinds of insights? That to me seems like a much bigger challenge. And I'm curious what you guys are doing in that direction.
Yeah, Iser, if you want to go back to the slide where the team is. So Michael, I appreciate your question, and you're absolutely right. There is an art to, as we call it, and we're trained at Harvard's, School of Leadership and Analytics. So we call it the data wisdom. So they have this data wise model that is being used in schools. And so our customer success team, which are actually the ones listed under the Accenture and NYC and UCLA group, those three, Aria, Nishi, and Kelly, they're all former educators and data strategists. And they actually are working with our school leaders to do those triangulations and think about what they don't know, right? Like, so for example, all schools have to care about attendance, and Ralph was talking about this earlier, right? Attendance is tied to funding, so everybody cares about attendance across the nation. Everybody also cares about some academic KPIs. They vary by region, by state, etc., but they usually have to do with reading proficiency or attainment or growth. And they're usually tied to standardized test scores. Obviously, some people disagree with that, but they tend to be tied to that. In Texas, for example, they have the STAR system, et cetera. So there's different systems. So these three leaders, they actually are responsible for knowing in every market that we're working in, what are the KPIs that state actually cares about. Like in Chicago Public Schools, they have what they call a school quality rating policy, which is like 10 metrics that every school is being measured against. But guess what we do? We triangulate that. So to your point, Michael, we come in and we don't just focus on the report card, so to speak, of that school. We bring in the insights from New York, from Missouri, from other places and say, hey, over there, they're thinking about on track, which is the combination of attendance and grades and things like that are predictive of college enrollment. We're talking to early childhood teachers about K-2 proficiency so they can have higher outcomes in third grade. So we know a lot of things, and our team is trained and goes every summer to these various institutions of knowledge that you see here to actually get, the latest insights and training. And then we embody that into the app, because to your last question about scalability, right? We only have 3 people, as you see, those 3, and we serve over 200 leaders in over 10 states. And they each on average spend about 14 hours per school to actually help them guide their entire school year. So it's very light touch, but very strategic. When we meet with them, it's like, okay, what's your report card? What data do you have? Actually, you don't have the data you need. It needs to be built or connected in order for you to reach these goals. And then let's iterate that. And, it's a very sophisticated process. And to your point, it's an art. And that's why Innovare has grown from profitability on year 1 to now having raised $3 million after 3 years of existence, and unseating the power schools. And we could get acquired by one of those companies. And that is our goal. And we believe we are better at what we're doing. And the only reason why we're not in New Mexico is because people don't know about us. And that's why we're here. I tell my team, we're not Pepsi, we're not Coke, we're water. Schools need us. It's essential for them to have a technology like this. And again, the support they need, because as you know, technology is only as good as the support that it can be provided. But we do think about scalability, and those are kind of some of the challenges that we encounter, as we go forward. The data privacy piece that Alexander was talking about, that can also be another barrier of entry. So we are currently sort of exploring a lot of that, but so far so good. We have 3 people serving over 200 leaders, and 97% renewal rate speaks for itself.
That's super. I just want to say, reading between the lines, you didn't talk about this, but I can tell that you guys are really good at measuring your own company and exposing your own metrics. You've just thrown a few out, and I'm really impressed with the insight that you have into your company. Good luck, guys. It's great stuff.
Thank you, Michael. From the healthcare, we were inspired by the work that you and your colleagues do around PDSA and continuous improvement. Basically, we're bringing that idea into education, the idea that, it needs to be driven right by the people who are doing the work. It can be done by these external factors or forces. Teachers and leaders need to know how to run those cycles, how to manage their work. And yeah, we try to embody that internally as well.
Great job, guys. We have 2 final questions.
Yes.
Obviously, we're 1 million cups, so we want to know, what's the one thing this community can do for you?
Honestly, we would love your support. We believe we have a great product, and we would love to get it into the schools in New Mexico. We looked at the data for New Mexico, and only 3 out of 10 kids are on average, performing at proficiency. And so that's not different than pretty much everywhere else in the country. And so we believe that those outcomes can change if we empower the leaders with the information that augments their intelligence and makes them better. So if you have connections to people in the education space, let us know. We're currently not fundraising because we're heads down right now trying to grow the business, and we just raised funding. By the way, we forgot to mention that our investors include some of the most renowned, VCs and people who are actually funded by Apple and Twitter and those type of folks. So people have seen the value of our product, and now is the time to grow, and to scale. And to Michael's point, that's actually we will love your advice. If there are people in the room who have, startup experience or scale up experience, we would love for you to help us, in terms of thinking about those tough questions like the ones Michael and Alexander were asking, right? And Adam as well, about how do we actually make sure that as we grow, that we're able to maintain those good metrics, right? That we don't lose our credibility because we go too big or we don't have enough support for the clients, things like that. So if any of you are business strategists or people who can help us kind of move from that scale, startup to scale up phase, and would like to offer any advice, please, we're learners, and we don't feel like we're fully baked. We definitely are confident and are proud that people like ourselves are leading the change in education, people who come from the classroom and understand why it's important. And in my case, being from El Paso and being from, the sort of, that tri-state area, we needed to be better. We need more kids to go to college. We need more people to be able to be educated and access their college dreams and things like that. And that starts by having schools that are well managed, so that's what, why I started the company. I was the first founder and quit my job at Gates to start the company. And, there's a lot more to the story, but those are the things that I think will be our asks. So number one is help us connect with other people that maybe are interested in supporting our mission and using our product, and not as beta users, but as paid users, because we're at that stage where we need to show our investors that we're going to meet those goals. Second, if you can help us with any business advice, or insights, or any, you work in the community, so you know what we need to know, like Ralph, right? And then lastly, like Marlene said, was our message clear? Is there something that we should do better in terms of how we tell our story, or who we impact, or things like that, so that we can access more people and it's less confusing? So thank you for asking, and thank you really for having us. This is honestly a privilege to be able to be here with all of you.
Awesome. AJ, red or green?
You know what? I'm gonna say green. I'm gonna say green.
I'm
But
also green.
yeah,
Both green.
Yeah.
All right.
but it reminds me of my childhood when I used to go with my grandma and grandpa to go pick up pecans and chiles like all over Las Cruces. So thank you for bringing that to the fold as well.
Awesome. I'm going to take your slides down so you can see the audience. Thank you so much. You guys did a great job. I know we have new people here today, and I would invite you, if you're new and you've never been to 1 Million Cups before, to come up, sit in the hot seat, introduce yourself, and tell us just a couple things about your business, or maybe why you're here if you're not an entrepreneur. And let's keep it short so everyone has a turn. So come on up. Newbies, want to see you. Thank you.
And while they're doing that, I'm just gonna put it my LinkedIn in the chat. If anybody wants to connect, I invite you to.
Thanks, AJ.
Yeah, of course.
Kind of have to get a little bit in front of the laptop for him
So-
to see you.
I'm Ken. We own the fish room over in Rio Rancho. It's about 30 minutes from here. Small business. We're just really here to kind of get back to why we started the business, to build community is the reason. But we just thought we'd like to hear stories from other small business owners.
What is it called? The
Fish room.
Is it a restaurant?
It's a aquarium.
Oh, very cool. That's awesome. Well, when are you going to apply to present?
Soon. Yeah.
Soon. All right. How about your partner?
This is Dustin.
Dustin, want to come up and, no? Okay.
He's shy. And I was gonna say too, if I may, if there's anyone in the room who like connections to like, investors or anything, if there's anything we can do to help you, like, please don't hesitate to let us know. We're happy to do a give and get here, so there's only a few people who get access to those people. So happy to make connections. I'm part of the Stanford Latino Entrepreneurship Scaling Initiative right now. So there's only like 6 people from the Southwest region. We all like now know each other. There's somebody from Albuquerque actually. So if there's anyone who, wants access to VCs or anything like that, do let us know. We're happy to make connections and pay it forward.
Yeah, thank you for offering the reciprocity. My name is Alexander, everyone on here. Specifically, my company is called Tartle. We are a data marketplace. We founded ourselves in 2017. 2019, we gained the first footsteps in our operations. And at the end of 2021, we were in 222 countries across the globe with millions of users and millions of data assets. The idea behind it is that we as individuals, we do everything online, and we put our time and effort into creating data, which is the backbone of the future of all commerce, industry, whatever you want to name it. Okay, World Economic Forum, that's the focus. Data is the key driver. What we've done with the technology is we've afforded people the opportunity to take that data which they create, turn it into a fungible data asset, and then share it with companies and receive payments off of that sharing, so that they get the value for giving that information up. And then the companies on the other side can make effective business decisions towards their products or services to enhance things, and not guess on what people need or want, or try to understand through half-baked population studies or market research, but truly know for a fact. Our interest is not in believing, it's actually knowing. And it's free to use for people all over the world. 60% of our user base makes less than $2.70 a day on average from their current incomes that they do. And over 80% of those people can't find their next meal. So in terms of an incentive base for these individuals, 4.3 billion of which have a cell phone, they have the ability to operate on our marketplace and increase financial incomes for themselves when they otherwise had no opportunity to do so. Did you guys catch that? Cool deal. You guys can sign up for free at turtle.co. I'd love for you guys to check it out. And I would also love to present one day.
I gotta do a surprise.
Thank you.
Congrats, Alex.
Okay. Hard to tell with the mask on. Anybody else? Come on up.
Yeah.
Morning.
Hello, everyone. My name is Joshua Clemente, and I'm the business banker for Enterprise Bank and Trust, and I just started about a month ago, so this is all very new and exciting for me. I am Albuquerque born and bred. I graduated from the University of New Mexico and also got my master's degree from there as well. And I really wanted to do something that could really empower the community. So when I was younger, I had dreams of being either a police officer or in the military. And then especially here in Albuquerque, you know, in the public eye, the police officer scene was not looking so great. So I decided to continue my education, and I continued to go to school here over at the University of New Mexico, and I jumped into sales because I got sold by a salesman to sell copiers, and I hated it. I really did. But you learn the sales process and you learn to love it. So once I jumped out of that due to the coronavirus, I actually got an offer from one of my close family friends saying, hey, you should be sales in this bank. And they told me that, you know, the reason that I should do it is not because I'm trying to sell things, it's because I'm trying to build relationships with the community. So now that I'm here, my main goal as Enterprise National Bank is to find people who are really discomforted by their bank, people who don't find that personal touch, people who are very frustrated by the way their bank works, and try to show them that here at Enterprise, that we really care about the customer service experience. So I'm trying to find small business owners who are having frustrations with that. But at the same time, I'm really hoping that here in the future, something that I could do is do something like the Million Cups is doing here by putting connections together, by finding people who might need help in one industry that need connections in another industry. For instance, with Innovare, I could go to my connections that I have with some of the charter schools out here in Albuquerque and kind of give you some of the key influencers at those schools. So I'm hoping that I'm not just trying to make the business experience better for people. I'm also trying to help the community by giving them the resources they need, or perhaps even being a resource for these small businesses to really grow and expand. Because, you know, being an Albuquerque native, I really want to see our economy grow and our small businesses do better, because I know the state that we're in, and I know where we want to be, and I know that there's a lot of work to get to what we really envision the city to be. And there's a lot of work to be done, but I want to be part of the change to really push that economic drive into making the entire state a much better place. So.
Thank you.
Wow, that's so nice.
Don't be shy. We're supportive.
That's amazing.
Hi everyone, my name's Candace. I'm in real estate, so I'm really here to just meet new people, to learn, and build rapport with each one of you, learn about everybody. I mean, obviously everybody's in business, and as am I, so this is just a learning experience for me.
Do you run your own real estate firm?
Not my own, no, I work under a firm. I work with Rhino Realty, so I work in property management as well in the sales department. Yes.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks for coming.
Yeah,
We appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone. We're good. I don't see anybody new online. I think we're all regulars. Eric's not here to do announcements and events. I can tell you the Angel 101 will be presented at Fat Pipe East Mountains today. And I think there's still some entries if you want to attend virtually. Of course, we'd love to see you in person. We're going to do 1 Million Cups actually next Wednesday from Taos as well as Albuquerque. So part of the team will be here in Albuquerque. I will be in Taos with my associate Andrea Romero, and our speaker is going to be a Taos entrepreneur, Mike Breyer. So we're looking forward to that. Anybody else have some big events coming up that they'd like to share since Eric's not here with his list? Anybody online?
Yeah, I have an event.
What you got?
I got a presentation I'm doing on the 15th at University of New Mexico on business across borders. So if you log on to the what is it, the University of New Mexico website. You should be able to get the link. Starts at 3 o'clock, I think.
Awesome. Anybody else?
Just to clarify, that's not my alter ego. That's Phil Wilton who's doing that presentation.
Yeah, what's
got an
the deal
event-
here? Are you hijacking someone's Zoom count?
The Zoom link came up wrong again this week. It had November 3rd, and I had to go to Alan and retrieve a November 10 one.
I wonder where you're looking.
No,
In the 1 million Cups app, in the 1 Million Cups email that you send out. It's got the November 3rd link in there.
Always go to 1MC, ABQ, check there, and Facebook are the two places that should be updated weekly for sure. But yeah, sorry about that. Matthew, what do you got?
I got an event. You may see that I'm in a different spot. I had to go and put out some fires at a commercial kitchen, not literally, but figuratively. Anyway, the event that we've got going on here, the next Mary Jane Mingle for the Cannabis Chamber of Commerce is November 17th, 5:30. And that's going to be over at Tractor Brewing. November 17th at 5:30 at Tractor. Those have been, if you have any businesses peripheral to the cannabis business, or you're looking for people to talk to, have the kind of expertise that typically end up in those spots. So anyone with biology backgrounds or cultivation, it's a really good spot to meet people. And yeah, it's been good for me as a mushroom farmer, even though I have nothing to do with cannabis. I found lots of interesting connections to make there, and it's fun. So
Thanks, Matt. All right, guys. You have anything? Anything else?
Lisa, are you keeping on Zoom open afterwards?
If you would like me to, Alan, I'll do that for a little bit, or I'll make one of you hosts so you guys can.
And maybe Adrian and Isa can stay on as well.
I'll keep it open. That way, just don't. I'll keep it as long as people want to do it.
All right, Matt. I'll make
Yeah,
you host.
just one comment, if I could.
Sure.
Tomorrow is Veterans Day, and I think it's important to recognize veterans, and also anyone who's out there who's unaware. There are a number of businesses in the city, particularly restaurants, who are honoring veterans with free meals. And you can find that online, which restaurants, I know I'll be going to Red Robin for lunch and Olive Garden for dinner. And if you do that, just make sure you leave a nice tip for the server, because it's a free meal.
And actually, Fat Pipe has free co-working to any veteran tomorrow at any of our sites. So if you know of a veteran who would like to get some work done tomorrow, send them our way. Thanks,
Very
Alan.
good.
All right, Alan, I'm going to make Matt the host. First, I better stop our live feeds. Say goodbye to Facebook. Bye, guys. Thanks, everyone, for